Hello, everybody. It's a double barrel day today. Thank you all for joining. Something just broke and it's huge. It's revolutionary. 2023 has definitely been the best year ever. And let's just jump in. The beginning of this video was about talking about how seasonality impacts markets and how you can actually just trade seasonality and beat 99% of people. That's why I'm a student of history. I don't have a history degree, but I study what happened in the past and analyze it carefully. But this is big. And before we jump in, I just want to share this. This is what I call AI1. Everybody has to watch a 5-minute sponsored ad. I'll never do a sponsored ad. I'll never waste your time. But I will share my key to energy and nutrition in Patreon later. So thank you all for coming. Let's jump in. Because, I always say stay healthy. Health is wealth. Number one, then worry about the rest. Let's talk about this. And of course, this is not financial advice. Don't forget to subscribe too if you want to amplify your intelligence. But this is big news. This is breaking news. It's just popped up out there on the Twitter sphere. Software update version 12, FSDv12, is now being distributed. This is absolutely huge news. Why is it huge news? Well, it's a complete game changer. Let me explain why. First of all, Elon Musk says it feels human. FSDv12 is rolling out to employees right now as we speak. The software uses the end-to-end neural networks which learn from massive amounts of video training data, and this approach is expected to radically improve performance of FSD, increase adaptability so you can drive anywhere in the world on the trickiest roads and the trickiest conditions with the most edge cases. And it's also simplifies development. There's no coding, and employees are the first to receive it, followed by early public beta testers, point releases, international releases, and finally, the removal of the beta level entirely. I've been using FSD beta for a long time. A few days ago, I drove 1,000 miles in 3 days through some very tricky conditions. We're talking snow, we're talking dark, we're talking farm roads in the urban USA. The car did it the whole way, and there were places where I couldn't even see, but the car could see. There was no lines in the road, and you go one way to the right, you're in a field or a trench or something. It's unbelievable, but it's about to get a whole lot better. And the point I'm trying to make before we get into the seasonality videos, real AGI is here, and the market has no clue. I mean, this is dropping. The stock is up 60 cents in after hours. The people don't understand how big this is. And that's the other reason why 2023 has been such a blessing, to be able to stack Tesla at $106. And I know it's been a crummy year. And I know it's only at 235 now. But think of the ability to buy this thing cheap. It's like buying Bitcoin at 15,500. It's unbelievable. It's a gift. And 2024 will be bonkers, and I'll prove it to you as well. And remember, this is just not for cars, everybody. This is for robots. They are building these things, and they are coming, and it'll use the same training that the cars are using. All right. Enough of that exciting news. Let's talk about what seasonality looks like. This is the Tesla price chart on the ATR model. You can see it's up and down and all over the place. And this is why it's so important. If you are an investor or a trader, you know when to strike, when to layer in, when to buy, when to sell, when to hedge, whatever else. That's key. But I'll also talk about another thing as well. Just like with Bitcoin, you got to be on the train for those select few days. So we're going to analyze all the history going back to 2010 and pull out some cool data. So first of all, S&P500 Seasonality. This is something I posted a few days ago as well. And if you had ignored all the news and noise in mainstream media that's designed to terrify you and just traded the calendar, you would have outperformed 99% of all investors. And by the way, I've been trading history for most of my life and supported, of course, by tools and models and data. But this graphic is a comparative chart illustrating the concept of seasonality in the stock market, especially the S&P 500. And it shows two lines. One representing the average performance of the S&P 500 from 1950 to 2022. And the other one showing the performance in the year 2023. And these lines are plotted against two different vertical axes. On the left, showing the scale for the average year performance, and on the right, showing 2023. And the chart suggests that literally it's following the same pattern of the last 72 years, with, of course, some minor variations. And this implies that the investor had simply followed the seasonal investment strategy based on historical patterns rather than reacting to daily news or market noise. They would have smashed professional money runners, 99% of them at least. And historical patterns are a powerful tool for predicting and capitalizing on stock market performance. We are going in, we're in November, the last 2 weeks in November. So we're like maybe only 1 week in November left, but then we have December too. Sometimes it can be off by a couple of weeks, but the next 5 weeks should be very good based on seasonality and history. But there's a lot more. Let's jump in. So you can see from the chart here, this is Tesla's stock price and how it has outperformed the S&P 500 by a huge margin over the past 12, 13 years. And the stock has risen by over 1,000%, while the S&P has only risen by 200%. It's also crushed it from typically mid-November to the end of December, while Q1 is mixed historically. So that's just kind of zooming out, pulling in a whole bunch of years together and laying them on one chart. But we're going to go a little bit deeper than that. I took all the monthly returns for Tesla, going back in time, back in history. And this is what the chart looks like. And a big thank you to Chiku out there. And of course, our mods in the chat too. Here you can see it is a very volatile stock, but the average monthly return is 4%. Going back in history, real simple. You can see some months are huge, but the huge months far exceed the down months. That's the other very important thing as well. We had 2 months going up 75% in the history, whereas the worst months were only down about 30%, 35%. Now, when we break down the statistics, the average return per month for Tesla is 4.11%. I know some people get excited by making 5% on a treasury bill or something, but hey, just buy Tesla, you pretty much get the same thing in a month. Standard deviation is 0.18. The range is 112%. That's the difference between the top and the bottom. The best month ever is 74.6%. The worst is 37.5%. And the sum of all the months, this is not compounded, this is just aggregating all the returns over the last 12, 13 years, is 665%, rounded up to 666%. And the count is 162 months. And I hope that 666 doesn't scare anybody. I left the decimal place in there. I was going to take it out, but I decided I didn't want to rattle anybody. So let's look at some more data too. And I'm getting to a point, don't worry. There's a lot of numbers. It's a numbers channel, of course. Tesla best and worst months historically. So if you look here, analyzing the best months, the best one is actually May 2013, second best August 2020. But if you look around the confluence, you got November 2010, 61%, January 2020, 53%, January 2023, 46%, November 2020, 44%, and sometimes things happen a bit earlier in October, etc. But the point is, sometimes November can be extremely strong. But again, it can fluctuate. It can roll into December, etc. Now, Elon Musk and Tesla have been hit and hammered by every traditional media news outlet, whether you're on MSNBS or TheStreet.com or magazines or Yahoo Finance or people that are funded by traditional media companies that are funded by traditional auto or media companies themselves are threatened by X. That's the problem. This company is being attacked from every single angle on earth. Find me one person, one critic of Elon Musk that's achieved at least 1,000th of what he has achieved in his life. Then find me that person, they've got the rights to throw rocks. Otherwise, forget it. But anyway, let's focus on seasonality here and why I believe we're going to have a year-end rally. I did say by January 10th, we should have a $300 Tesla stock. First of all, this is just European. I could share North American, Chinese, etc. But Q4 is always the biggest month to sell cars. You can see here in 2022, Q4 was nearly double the amount of deliveries in Europe compared to Q3 in 2022. So far, 2023 has been down because, of course, they were jigging lines. They were shutting down for a new Model 3, which is the same price as the old Model 3, but 100 times better in many different perspectives. It's also cheaper and faster to build. That's a huge game changer, and it'll be a huge year for the Model 3 in 2024. Thank you so much, Anderson W. So we know The big red candle, not a green candle like I discussed for Bitcoin in my last video. The big red candle is coming for deliveries and production. I'm very confident they'll make over 1.8 million cars and deliver them in Q4, in the whole of 2023, which is always the goal. But a lot of people felt they couldn't do that because they don't realize they shut down everything to make things better during the summer. But of course, Wall Street is clueless. They are literally sleeping at the wheel. And I just covered the whole AGI news. Tesla is the biggest AGI player that have just brought it to the world before anybody else. In addition, this is very important too. This is a shout out to Jason DeBolt. You can see here, Elon responded to his tweet, and DeBolt points out that Tesla has been basically flat for 10 of the 13 years since its IPO. But the majority of its 126x returns came in just 3 years. You've heard me saying tirelessly, be on the train. It's only a few days that matter, not just jumping in and then jumping off and missing those key days. You can see here 2013, 2019, 2020 were those 3 years. And Musk responded that there have been several extended periods of flatness, followed by rapid rises to new plateaus. We saw those in 2019 and 2020. And that is why you are in this game. Don't be shaken out by short-term weakness, etc. Thank you so much, the T. And this, Tesla and Elon Musk implied this is a normal pattern for growth companies. And Tesla's still in a very long uptrend. We're just in that slight lull between two huge changes. And that is things like Model 2 coming as well. And stock price has not been moving like the Magnificent 7 or the enormous 8 out there in the market. But that is all going to change. Mark my words. Let's talk about some of the catalysts. First of all, we are 6 days away from Cybertruck delivery. This is huge. I mean, this puppy is kind of insane. And I tweeted this the other day. People still think it's ugly because humans are resistant to change. It's a natural human reaction when they see something that just scares them. It looks space age. It does rattle people. But there are over 2.1 million pre-orders. And if everybody executes those pre-orders, there could be a 7-year waiting list for this vehicle. 7 years. If you join the list now, you might be waiting 7 years, which might put people off. But the point of this is there will be zero seasonality in demand for this vehicle. Every single one that they make will be sold, period. And that's huge. And then they got a game-changer vehicle coming. Let's talk about some of the catalysts. This is from Gary Black. He talks about 10 catalysts, or I call them tailwinds for 2024. Model 3 Highland launch in the fourth quarter. Well, it's already launched in Europe and Asia, made out of Asia. And it's coming to the US as soon as they can fix their factories, make them work faster. Cybertruck deliveries are happening, as I mentioned, in 6 days. It's going to be huge. FSD OEM licensing deal is expected in FY 2024, where something like a Stellantis will just cave in and say, hey, we need this FSD stuff. Remember, FSDv12, programmed by AI, learning from videos, is coming. Okay? This, nobody has this priced in except for people like Kathy Wood at ARC, etc. The auto gross margins will stabilize because you got Giga Mexico, Giga Austin, and Giga Berlin ramping like crazy. Then you have the US has an instant $7,500 credit from the IRA program. You're able to go in and buy a car and prove. I think if you're a married couple, you have to earn less than $600,000 to get this $7,500 credit. That dramatically reduces the price of a $40,000 car. And it comes right off the label. So if you're financing, even at these high rates, it makes it a no-brainer. And India imports, they're going to work on a new deal for a Gigafactory as well. The Fed is going to pivot, probably March 2024. Huge tailwind for Tesla and other tech stocks. FSD version 12 is now dropping as we speak. And also potential stock buyback. He's been talking about that for years. Who cares about stock buyback? It doesn't matter. They should put all that money, in my opinion, into the Optimus bot. That will be the biggest game changer. I did an 8 ways to $8,000. I'm working on a new model, and I'll release it with Brighter with Herbert. It's 10 ways. It's changed to 10 ways, and the numbers are mind-blowing, but also very achievable too. And finally, the 25K Model 2 will be coming. Details will be coming in 2024, and hopefully it'll hit the roads in 2025. That is insane. So let's talk about more numbers. Getting back to numbers. Sorry, it's a very exciting day. Tesla will have a great 2024. It's math beyond the train. These show you just over the last 3 years. Let me see. Since 2020, that's 1,440 days. You can see here, only 1.3% of days matter to be on the train. These are all the days since 2020 that have had more than 10% gainers. I covered the exact same chart in Bitcoin since 2018. There were 20 days since 2018 that were 10% gainer days. Big green candles, but Tesla has blue candles, so couldn't use the same color. And this is massive news as well. And again, I know he is probably the most hated man on earth because he threatens everybody, whether you are an internet communications provider or a legacy car maker or a storage utility or an oil company or a media company or whatever. You're not liked by Elon Musk, but everything he does succeeds. This is another touch point. X traffic update. X surpasses Instagram and Facebook by a significant margin all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in driving traffic through Google. X is not a walled garden. It's open and it's getting a lot of adoption. Now, if you do a search on Google, you'll get your answer from Google and it'll take you to X. And that is huge. Again, this is what mainstream media is terrified of. This is why they publish so many hit pieces against him. Can you imagine if they said something flattering about him? Or said something flattering about AGI and FSDv12 and bots and energy storage and saving the environment and all that type of stuff? That'll happen. Everything eventually succumbs. I think one of the guys on CNBC actually just pivoted to being pro Elon after hating him for 10 years. So it's madness. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hope you enjoy the show. Hit the like on the way out if you can. This is a stock that people need in their portfolios. By you hitting the like will help other people see this content and help other people get a little position in Tesla, which will be helpful for them and their families over the next 8 years. Guaranteed. Thank you, everybody, for coming. See you all tomorrow. Thank you to the mods in chat. Bye-bye.